Hi guys, welcome back. This morning I'm going to do a bit more about my journey. Let's jump into it. Hi guys, welcome back. Just a little view of what I'm looking at this morning. It's a bit of a different video. There's no how-to video, no come with us video, tying knots or whatever like that video today. It's another bit of my journey that I'd like to share with you guys, and it's not all professionally done or anything like the last one, which I thank Adam at Tree Tunnel. Yeah, and it's a bit difficult. This is stuff that I've been holding and don't really talk about. So we're going to go all the way back to, let's say 2008. Yeah, 2008. And my first son was born. And he was actually born in the breech position. On the hospital paperwork they said he was extracted, but he wasn't. He was born naturally by breech, legs behind his head and everything. So traumatic experience for Deborah, and that's part of her journey, so I'm not going to speculate on that. But my first son Ryan was brought into the world jaundiced and premature. Stayed in the, not the baby unit, I can't remember what they call it. It's not ICU either, it's just an extra monitoring unit, because I can't remember what it's called right now, with Deborah for a while. And yeah, where Deborah had an injection of pethidine and it reacted badly, she was not allowed to see Ryan for 2 days, but they neglected to put that on the notes, whereas I was allowed to see him straight away. So it's more it's just more hassle. Then we were blessed to find out that Deborah was pregnant again, and pregnancy was all going well to a point, and then on a scan something showed up. Went for more tests, and turned out our baby had Turner syndrome, which I'm led to believe is exclusive to those of the female gender. I'm not sure if that's correct, but that's what I was led to believe. And so we were really upset, happy we're still having a little girl, but upset that her life was going to be hard. Then it got worse, and found out she had a hole in the left side of her heart, which was a cardiac infarction in the left ventricle, is what we was told. Turner syndrome, and then cystic hygroma as well, which is a build up of fluid under the skin. And we were told it was best to terminate, even though it was past that point. Sorry about this. And then the trauma kept coming, because it was past that point. Deborah then had to give birth to our daughter, and Grace Lou was born asleep on the 9th of January 2009. And I have been carrying this since then. I've not really grieved. I have my moments when I get really upset. Certain songs that come on. But I've been the one that's been the strong one and tried not to get upset and flustered, but it's with everything else going on in our lives and in the world, I have to release some tension in my head. Yeah, so that's really sorry. So yeah, that's really hard for me to talk about, really, but I'm at a place in my life now that I don't want to lie about stuff. I don't want to hold stuff in anymore. If people ask, I'm just going to tell them the truth. So this is what this video is about, me getting some stuff off my chest, which was part of my journey. You've already heard the part where I became Deborah's carer after our third son was born. Well, even before then, with all Deborah's issues that she has and her battles, I've been her carer for quite a long time now, and not only are we battling each other because she has her battles and I'm trying to do what I can, and our relationship is I don't know anymore, honestly. Some days it's good, some days it's awful, and yeah, some days I feel like I'm in a relationship and sometimes I just feel like I'm a carer. But that is my journey. I don't know how Debbie feels because she doesn't open up, which is part of her battle. Then we had Oliver, who was quite a quick birth and didn't stay in hospital. He was out within days and didn't go into the special unit or anything, and he's a terror. As most kids are. He's starting to find his teenage attitude. But yeah, so Oliver was born, not really any issues, but still with the weight of what happened before. We don't love our kids any less. I just wish there was that one more that was here. So that's a big trauma for me, was that. And then we have Max, our little clown, you've seen in the videos, and his birth was traumatic also. All three of our kids were born 5 weeks plus a few days early. I think Max was even 6 weeks early, if I remember. Can't quite remember. But he came out on a flood of fluid, but only after the doctor had administered the epidural injection 5 times into Debbie's spine. First 4 times she missed, carried on going, and with the 5th one got it. And by then Deborah was already in well-established labour by the time she'd already come to do the epidural, and she still went on and done it. And 5 times, 4 times she missed, which we believe is what's caused the neuropathy that Deborah has all down her right side. And on the hospital notes, we've been looking it up because we've been neglected by our health service years before the pandemic. Yeah, they just didn't want to deal with Deborah. They just palmed her off with all the pills, didn't want to follow up or anything, and made my job harder. So we've been chasing up all of her notes, all of her medications, all of her appointments, because we got fed up of just hearing excuses or getting the wrong information and stuff like that. So we found out on the notes that during Max's birth, they put down on the notes that they administered 1 epidural injection, which was successful, which was completely incorrect. And there was me and my mother in the room. My mother was actually sat round the side where they were giving the injection and watched, and she was saying that it's not right, they done 5. And yeah, so that's caused more issues for Deborah to have to deal with, which is hard for her, and adjusted our lifestyle accordingly. So all of that trauma has affected our family in such a way. But for me personally, I'm going to go back now further before I met Deborah and discuss a little bit more about where I came from to get to where I am now. I'm not going to say I had a hard childhood. I mean, yes, we were quite poor, but Mum did what she could to give us everything that we needed, and Dad was always working, so we had to make our own way with the help of Mum guiding us. So it wasn't a bad life, it was quite a good life. I had camp and I had the Boys Brigade, which helped give me something to do, keep me off the estate and off the housing estate with all the other, what they call them, hooligans, and started me on the right path. Then I got to my teenage years. I started smoking at 12, 13. I did actually have my first cigarette when I was about 10, which was given to me by somebody, and I coughed the lung up basically, and I thought I'd never do it again. But then I got in with a group of people when I started in secondary school or high school, and I started smoking. And my dad even joked with me one time that if I ever catch you smoking, I will buy the biggest, greenest cigar and I will make you smoke it in front of me. And unluckily, I got caught smoking one day in a car that me and my dad had clubbed together and bought. So, true to his word, he went and got a big cigar, and I must have been about 14 or 15. And yeah, I think I was about 15, and he got me to smoke it as a punishment, and it turns out I actually quite like cigars. So that's all backfired, and I carried on smoking for a number of years. Well, I started working properly, officially, not like the little jobs you do as a kid, like you go do some jobs and somebody give you a £5 or whatever. But I started working properly at 16 in McDonald's and nursing home and doing colleges all at once, and I fell in with a wrong crowd. Can't exactly remember which crowd it was, if it was college, if it was McDonald's. It wouldn't have been the nursing home because I didn't really hang out with anybody from there after work. But I started drinking a lot. It got to a point where I started off drinking beer, or lager, depends on what part of the world you're in, what you call it, and the beer wasn't doing it anymore, so I went on to whiskey, and I could quite easily do a 75-centilitre bottle on one of my breaks from work or on my afternoon from school. So I could quite easily just do that, and I was doing a lot of stupid stuff, and I started getting into smoking weed as well. which I don't really have a problem with, because that's what people choose to do is their own business, and it's nothing to do with me. If they want to do that, that's their journey. So I started smoking a lot of weed. I've always made sure I gave my mum the rent money out of what I earned, because I'm paying rent to pay my keep, so to speak. So yeah, I'd make sure I give her that out of that, and then the rest went on weed and alcohol. So yeah, that was a bad journey. But then I started working other places, and the weed wasn't doing it and the drink wasn't doing it. I got arrested for drink driving, lost my license, which I do now have back, and I know better than to drink when I've got driving to do. But that was that. And I tried other drugs, which I know not to ever do again. And yeah, so I became addicted to drink, and gambling was another one. I couldn't walk past the fruit machine without putting money in it and selling my stuff to get money to buy drink and drugs and gamble. And eventually I met Deborah, cleaned myself up a little bit, and started working properly, sober and everything else, and everything was going good. And then we go back to the first trauma with my eldest, or our eldest, sorry, and then Grace and everything else going on. And it got to a point where I didn't know if I was me or if what was going on, and I got so depressed that I tried to kill myself twice. Once I drove to Beachy Head and I was just going to jump off the edge. Thankfully I was talked down out of the situation by one of the pastors that are up there to stop jumpers. And then a few months later, after I built the cabin, this is when the journey started on the YouTube, I tried it again. I screwed myself shut into the cabin. I blocked up the flue of the log burner, and I just lit it and just sat there, let it fill with smoke, and tried to choke myself out with it. Then something gave, and I discovered the outdoors, rediscovered the outdoors. I say not discovered because it's always been there, I've just rediscovered and reconnected, and here we are today. I had the volunteer groups that I was part of that didn't quite fit. One really a horrible group I thought was brilliant at the time, and actually turns out it really isn't. All they want to do is grab money and take other people's ideas when they seem popular, take credit for everyone else's stuff. And another group who are doing a lot of great stuff in the community, but the connection wasn't there, wasn't the right time. I must add that I'm not the only person to have this experience with this particular, with the first group, which is why I have quite a few volunteers who sort of walked away with me for the same sort of reasons, and I'm not going to discuss those reasons. Just know that it wasn't good. I mean, at the time when I was in that headspace, I was fully committed to them, and then when I started to notice these horrible things happening, I had to step away. So, and with me stepping away, others did too, who had the same or similar experiences. So then we started Craig's Cabin as just a group to walk around and talk, and then we wanted to do some more stuff, so we joined in with other groups, and this is where I am going today. So I am gonna head back to there now. Just done this video, just one because I didn't have anything ready to put out today, and another reason just because I wanted to get some things off my chest, some more of my journey that you guys didn't hear in that first video because it was edited out because of where it was going to be shown. It's like fire making skills and knife work and that was all edited out, and the part of me trying to commit suicide and the trauma was all edited out. So from where I was to where I am, I'm very grateful to everyone that's been there along the way, even if it has been in a negative way. At least I've learnt from these situations, but now I'm on a better path, and I'm now off to join the rest of the Craig's Cabin community volunteers, who are now known as a small charity, and we're going to do the community garden project with the residents of that particular garden because it's their residential community garden. So we're going to go help them. We got our sensory garden underway. We're still carrying on doing our forage for knowledge walks, which is not just about foraging for good old stuff like out here in the wild, but also about learning stuff about ourselves, about the area around us, about history, and many more projects to come. So keep an eye on our social media, our Facebook page, our Instagram, Twitter. We keep posting stuff up, and we're planning on doing a bit of fundraising soon, walks and stuff like that. So keep your eyes out, and if you feel that you are able to help with donations, then please do contact us. All the information is in our about section of how to get hold of us. So just a little bit of a update on the journey. Stay safe, I'll see you later.